Hello? Huh. I could hear you now. There we go. Yeah, so, where are you calling from today?
Texas.
Fullerton.
From Czechia.
Seattle,
Arkansas,
Vancouver, BC,
Louisiana.
And wherever you're tuning in, welcome. Now, since birth, we go through experiences that are unique to us. The life lessons and values we hold dear to ourselves show that we are different from one another, yet also reveal how similar we are. Milking Ardor is that space to share experiences and hear new stories from people from all around the world. It's currently 4:10 a.m., the day of posting this, and I'm very behind, but it's okay. And this is where I segment to who's talking. It's okay because on this episode, we will be hearing from Skylar, a young intellect who has insight on expectations. Morgan J., a musician who uses comedy to perform. Then finally, Denton Fisher, a dating coach for men. So I'm very excited for you to hear what these people have to say. But before then, I will cue sponsorship.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey, nice to meet you, Skylar.
Nice to meet you too.
All right, let's get right into it, For those who don't know you, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Skylar and I'm calling from Fishers, Indiana.
Awesome. And how would you describe yourself?
Well, it depends on what you call or what you think of yourself. That is I would say
Well, how about this?
wild card.
You're kind of young, so I'm not gonna assume anything, but if you were on a first date, what would you say about yourself to your date?
I am don't expect too much of one thing. It'll be a wild card, basically.
And why shouldn't people have all these expectations, and why are you saying you're a self-proclaimed wild card?
I don't think people should have expectations because it's stupid. You might judge someone off of one thing that is your thing, but they might have one thing that you don't know, but you just did it off of expectation.
Interesting.
Because I remember while I was watching YouTube, it said this girl went on a date with a guy, and then he went to Applebee's. She was like, "Yo, this dude is so broke because he made me go to Applebee's." And then someone replied, "Maybe he owns multiple Applebee's. Maybe he just dodged a bullet."
Interesting. It seems like you've had this concept of what an expectation is, and you're just kind of pondering on what it means to have expectations. What kind of led you to this interest of this topic?
I was bored on YouTube and it just kind of happened.
Yeah.
Kind of all things on YouTube, it just goes from okay, you're talking about car motors, then all of a sudden you're wondering how Gordon Ramsay cooks a puffer.
Yeah. So what are some expectations that people have of you that you think people shouldn't have expectations of?
To immediately be kind to someone, because you have to go off of you're supposed to be immediately kind, but there's some people that that shouldn't expect you to be. Or
what do you mean? I'm kind of lost in translation of words.
So some people will do something immediately and don't expect me to be immediately kind.
Mm,
Most people expect everyone to immediately, just right off the bat, be kind and have like full trust of them.
interesting. Okay, so this is kind of throwing the aspect around of respect. So how do you think? There's a lot of different approaches and a lot of different people, and you go through generations of people, and clearly, the younger generations think a lot differently than the older generations.
Yeah, it's very interesting right now
Yeah.
politically because there's a lot of people, the older generations are like pretty like okay with this new COVID, but then like the some of the younger generations are like, oh no, I can't wear my mask, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very interesting right now with generations.
Yeah, it is. Have you thought about this generational difference that much, or is this something that's just there?
No, just that when somebody says something, then my mind ponders on it immediately.
Mm, I understand that, Skylar.
Because somebody was like talking about what they were saying, like, oh, what the truth is, and I was like, what is the truth?
Absolutely. It's not really because I've been thinking about this too. You know, I wonder like, oh man, am I a bad person for questioning everything that's being told to me? I think at the same time it's more of just
I don't
gathering what is true.
I don't think you're a bad person for questioning everything. You have a right to question everything. Everybody has a right to question things. It's just certain things you can't question out loud
Mm.
because somebody was like telling me about this one thing, and I started questioning it, but I realized that I couldn't question it out loud.
Are you comfortable saying what you were questioning
I
here?
don't remember.
Mm. You just remember as a controversial topic
Yeah, it
of
was
some sort.
very. I also talk about a lot of controversial topics with many people.
Mm. Kudos to you. Stay knowledgeable. I like that. So I saw this thing, Skylar. You posted somewhere that you're saying that no one challenges you. Could you kind of explain a little bit more about that?
Um, so like most people, they don't like talk as smart as I do.
Mm.
Like,
Interesting.
or they don't understand. They're not on like my wavelength of my like when I talk, like they don't understand it, you know?
And
And
what type of people is this? Is this like your classmates or your friends that are your age? Or is this adults, family?
some some family, some it's like a little bit of everything, but most people can't talk to me. Like there are some cool people like my dad. Like me and my dad will go on like a very good talk. Like
Yeah.
it is like, you know, we'll
Very
go yeah,
philosophical.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And not a lot of people can do that with me.
So is there like a yearning or a like a big want and a craving to have these sophisticated conversations?
Kind of.
Hmm.
Because sometimes I don't want them, and sometimes like it's kind of like when you have food you don't want it,
Mm.
but when you don't have the food you really want it.
Sure.
It's
You
kind
want what you don't have.
yeah. And so it's like, you know, it's like, oh, you know, because you kind of it's just there, and you know you can do it, but and you also kind of want to, but like it's like, I'll do it, but then when you don't have it, you don't really want, or you really want it, you know?
Yeah.
And it's very interesting. I think someone replied in the comments. If you were to look at the comments, it said, um, somebody actually started a conversation with me in my chat that I have. So I actually did find somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
So that was cool.
And what do you guys talk about? How do you?
I think we were talking about politics of all things.
Mm.
Uh, or I forget what we're talking about. I think we were talking about video games and how stupid it is that the new NBA is $70 on a Xbox Series X,
Yeah.
and how like if that happens, that how stupid that would be.
Just to close up, Skylar. Do you have any last thoughts or anything you want to shout out, or any last words you want to say to the audience listening?
Any last words? Um, Cade 6 shouldn't have died in Destiny 2. And if you understand what I'm saying, then, well, that sucks. And also, um, I think that they should lower the cost on the disc version of the PS5
Mm.
to $550 instead of $600.
Interesting. Do you have anything you want to shout out, or
Anything I
are you
want
good?
to shout out? My Discord.
Yeah, go ahead.
My Discord server. I don't know how to make it public. I'll figure that out.
Yeah.
My Discord server is just called Skylar server.
Right on.
Pretty basic.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, Skylar.
Yeah.
You have incredible insight at your young age. So kudos to you.
Well, bye.
All right. I'll keep you updated, Skylar.
Okay.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye. There's so many different types of passions and enthusiasms for the world. And for all my performers out there, I want to promote their stuff. I want you to go check them out. So, like I said, Morgan J is a comedian who uses music. So, here's a little clip, one of my favorite clips of him, actually. And I'll just let it play.
It's called Single Now. It all started at a party a couple weeks ago. Saw this girl standing in the corner, black dress, polka dots and painted toes. I asked my friend who that, he's like, her name is Kat, and I should probably try to hit that.
Perfect. I mean, I kind of know who you are, and I've seen a lot of your content, the things you do. For those who do not know you, what's your name and where are you calling from? I think that's a really good start.
Yeah, so
Sure.
So I'm Morgan J, and I live in LA, and I'm a musician and comedian here.
Yeah. Let's take it back from the very beginning. You're a comedian, actor, and a singer. How did you get into those things? When did this career for you really start?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note that everything you learn, you use. I think Johnny Carson said that. Like, if you're gonna be in the entertainment industry, you're gonna use everything you know. So, I, for example, started piano lessons at around 5 or 6. I played for about 10 years, although I forgot a lot of it, most of it, basically all of it. And then I picked the guitar up around 16. And then in high school, I was in drama club, and I did I did choir. I was an all-state choir, and then I went to NYU for theater, and it was like it was probably, I don't know. Well, first week of first week of NYU, they had an open mic, so I did that. And I know in high school I watched a lot of Comedy Central, and I just thought, man, I'd really love to do stand up. So
Yeah.
I didn't start really getting into stand up until I think sophomore year, or when I was like 19 or 20.
And it's really interesting because there's a lot of different types of comedy you could do, um, but the most prevalent content that's kind of being more viewed or more famous that's been popping up on just different platforms is a lot of your content that I'm seeing is that you're singing. You have a
Yeah.
guitar or you have some sort of instrument and you're cracking jokes, you're singing songs, you're just making a really good time. Like, tell me about your style.
Yeah, so I'm Brazilian and Italian, and I really love bossa nova music, and I like nice melodies. So a big part of the music that I do comes from those chords, these major sevenths, minor sevenths, and I know that at least with my songwriting process, the melody and the music is really important to me. The way
Mm.
uh, so for me, that's kind of how it all started. Wait, I forgot what the original question was. I'm a little bit out of it today, so I apologize.
No worries. It's just more of just explaining your type of style of
Oh
comedy and
yeah, so
that
I
sort
love Reggie
of
Watts.
stuff.
I mean, it's a good thing that it's good to talk about influences. I love Reggie Watts. I love um, Rory Scovel. So Reggie Watts is a musical comic. Rory's a stand-up comic, and they both do kind of a very stream of consciousness type of performance. There's no limits. They're not, I don't know how to explain it, but they just go to the full extent. And I also know from, doing stand up and loving stand up, incorporating the crowd or incorporating moments that are special to the show. I don't know if you know what I mean when I say that, but like if you listen to my music, there's a lot of crowd interaction,
Yeah.
and we make it a point to do that.
Yeah, that kind of seems very difficult for those who are not really quick-witted. Would you say that you need to have these certain characteristics or traits to really have the crowd be engaged with your
I would say no,
content?
just because if you perform every night and you do the same crowd work, you'll kind of get a sense of what the answers are going to be.
Yeah, just
Uh,
sort of feel.
I think, having the guitar does give me a little bit of an edge as far as like coming back with a comeback. If I have music behind it, it makes it so much better. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So, so, but I will say, like, a lot of the responses I expect, I kind of have an idea what's gonna pop up.
What do you mean type of responses?
So if
You
I do
know
the
what to
song, if I have
expect.
the song Split the Check, I have three questions that I will ask. You know,
Hmm.
um, so with those questions, I kind of have an idea of what the answers are going to be, and I have a response locked and loaded, ready to go for whatever happens.
Gotcha. And how much is like your prep time for a show or just kind of a joke or
Well, right, like that question is, so do you mean like how long does it take to write a song, or like what do I do before a performance?
how long does it take for you to write a song? But the second question you asked was really great. Just what do you do to prepare?
Yeah, so with the songs, I could write a song in 20 minutes, or it could take a couple days, depending on what I need to do with it. I mean, sometimes like they'll come really easy, and sometimes they don't. And but essentially, the process is like this: I come up with a chord progression. I'll kind of just do some singing with no words and try to come up with a melody, and then from there, I'll have ideas for song topics I want to sing about, and then I'll do like a scratch. I'll do a song sketch. Essentially, I'll record the song. I'll record me singing lyrics for about a half hour, just making stuff up, improvising, and then from there, uh, I'll go back, listen to the recording, and narrow it down to different lyrics, and kind of build off that to see, uh, you know, what I can do.
Yeah.
And then I'll polish the song up, And then after about a couple months of, playing it, bringing it out to open mics, it's done. But even after a year or two of singing it, I'll still find things with the song. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Like you'd always polish it or try to make it
Yeah,
better,
you want to.
I suppose.
I structure the songs in a way where it's how do I explain this? It's like I try to keep it as fresh for me as I can.
Mm. Yeah, I totally understand that. So I know you mentioned that you started singing at 6 and you just started playing instruments at a young age, and this has really been prevalent to your person now and just kind of
Yeah.
your person. Were you always, how do I phrase this? Did you have people in your life, like your family members, who were just really into music, or how did you
Yeah, so my
get
father
into
was
music? And
actually a singer.
okay,
He was a pop star in Argentina, and
interesting.
he played piano and guitar. And in America, he was a chef, but he also sang at parties, private events.
So is there like a sort of pressure you felt growing up of you have to do music?
No, as a matter of fact, well, he passed when I was a kid, so
Mm.
I mean, they did want me to play piano, but there was a it's really interesting because it's like I never expected to be doing music in my act, but it's the most popular thing that people want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because I started doing stand up, I'd done 6 or 7 years of stand up, and then I slowly transitioned to music. So a big part of my act is that. Um, so, he died when I was 6. So I'm curious to see what he would think of what I was doing.
Yeah. What was that transition like, going from just stand-up comedy to incorporating music?
It was kind of scary because I never thought of myself as somebody who had a good voice.
Mm.
Uh, and I think I realized that I have a unique voice and a warm voice that people kind of gravitate to. They like it. They find it soothing. A lot of the comments on my TikTok posts are, oh, I'm sorry. Is that me? I'm sorry. Let me close that.
No worries.
A lot of my posts on TikTok or YouTube, if you look at the comments, are like, "Oh, your voice is so soothing. It's so nice." So I think
Yeah.
there's a quality, you realize that some people don't even sing well, but people still like their voice. So you think you just have to be honest with your voice and the way it sounds.
Does that kind of hit different, that compliment, or like, wow, like is it seems like your voice was an insecurity for a little bit, and then hearing people give you positive feedback, it's more like, oh, I could do this, and people love
Yeah,
it.
I think now I'm not as insecure about it at all. I feel like I have something special. I feel like
Hmm.
it's unique and nobody can sing like me. And I don't mean like nobody can sing better than me because people can for sure sing better than me, but nobody has my particular tone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you have your own particular style that not
Right.
people could replicate.
Exactly.
Right on. So I talked with the another comedian about what the comedy scene is looking like now, especially in quarantine. How have you been doing with quarantine? How comedy has comedy been hindered for you, or has this provided new opportunities? What's been going on with you recently?
I have pivoted really hard. Mid March when all the lockdowns started happening. Um, I was doing research about vaccines and stuff, and they were like, realistically, vaccines normally take 12 to 18 months to have a viable vaccine option.
Hmm.
And then I spoke to one of my friends who's a music manager for some pretty big artists, and she was saying that they're not planning any live events until spring of 2021. So I just put it in my head that you know what, for the next year, you're unlikely to perform live. Uh, So what are you going to do about that? So I saw a bunch of online shows popping up immediately. I invested in equipment to stream, and the genesis of that has kind of brought me, now I'm doing corporate gigs, I'm doing Zoom comedy shows, I'm doing private events right from my desk in my bedroom. and I've been making money doing that, like not a lot, but a fair amount. More, it's just one of those things that I'm building on, and I think it's going to grow. I also, I grew my YouTube channel by over 25,000 subscribers. I on TikTok I went from 17,000 to 430,000 followers.
Wow, kudos to you.
Yeah, so I've been growing all those platforms, and now I'm delving into Twitch, where I'm going to be also gaming. So I'm going to see if I could build an audience there. So I'm not saying I'm still singing and I'm still making songs, but I'm exploring kind of all options. If and when things get back to normal, where we're performing at comedy clubs again, I think I'm going to be even better equipped because I'm developing all these new skills, and I've developed a whole new way to connect with fans or followers and things like that. So, I could do a live show in a year and then be like, by the way, if you enjoyed the live show, come to my live stream and hang out with me while we play video. You know what I mean? So we're offering different options. And the live streams on YouTube, for example, have been really great because now I can get super chats. So people can donate. Like with TikTok, people could donate money. Two people could donate money. I'm in a position now where I could reach out to brands for possible sponsorships. So, pivoting and just trying to figure out how to keep going and how to keep being creative. I always try to tell myself, it's not about being the best or making the most money, but it's about how can I evolve and change.
Absolutely, I agree with that.
There's a lot of people who are kind of, I think, waiting for things to get back to normal, but I think that unfortunately, you have to act now. You can't wait because what normal may never show up again,
Yeah, and that's the harsh reality of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right on. Well, I know this is really short and sweet, Morgan, but that's typically how these calls go. Do you have any last minute thoughts or anything you want to plug or shout out?
Yeah, you can follow me, subscribe to my YouTube channel because I put out a video every Monday, and I try to do this thing called the Friday Night Vibe stream where we just sort of like freestyle, make music up, make raps up, do some would you rathers, take some texts and phone calls and things like that. And then follow me on Twitch because I'm going to try to game three nights a week. I'm trying to get into Call of Duty, but wow, what a game. What a wild game. I don't know if you play it?
A little bit, yeah.
It's wild, bro. There's some wild shit out here. Ooh, excuse me. Sorry.
No, yeah. Swearing is totally okay.
But yeah, that's what's up. So you can follow me on Instagram too. I haven't been posting a lot to Instagram because that platform is like kind of political now. Like, it's not that it's bad. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't feel right to post funny videos or content right now, considering this, the level,
of course,
the gravity of the climate right now. You know what I mean?
Just the different movements going on around.
Yeah,
and I totally understand.
So I just stick to YouTube and TikTok because those just seems like places for entertainment and stuff.
Right on. And I know you're telling people to go check you out. I mean, is there like a certain handle that you go by? There's different artists and people who just go by something different.
Excuse me. So on YouTube, you could just put my name in, but just Morgan J, or you could do youtube.com/MorganIsEthnic. I made that a while ago. And then Instagram, it's Morgan J. Twitch, it's Morgan J. And then TikTok, Morgan J Official. But I'm using YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok the most at the moment. But if people want to get in touch with me, they can DM me on Instagram because I more or less answer all the DMs I get.
That's true. And for everyone who wants to reach out to Morgan, definitely do DM him because that's what I did. And here we are on the podcast.
Yeah, as of now, I'm pretty accessible. I get these DMs from people, and then I'll respond, and they'll be like, "I can't believe you responded," and I'm like, "Dude, I only have X amount of followers. I get literally 3 to 5 DMs from strangers a day. It's manageable. You know what I mean?"
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I appreciate you getting in touch with me.
No, thank you so much for being on the show.
All right, thanks, brother. Look forward to hearing it, and yeah, man, anytime.
Yeah, I'll keep you posted.
Thanks, brother.
All right, I'll see you later.
See ya.
It's a really weird time for all of us. Some of us lost our jobs, and others are missing the first year of their ideal college experience. And a good amount of us are just spending time with those around us, our loved ones. And like Morgan and I were saying in our conversation, things might never go back to normal. The normal has changed, the standard has changed. As a society, we just have to keep on going. That's definitely true about the podcast. I've definitely thought about giving up. But like every other good thing, you gotta keep on going. I don't really know why I mentioned this, but I just want to put that in. So, without further ado, take it away past Denton and Spencer.
My name is Denton Fisher. I'm calling from Las Vegas, Nevada. I am a men's dating coach and confidence coach.
Nice. And that's actually how I found you, because of the content you make. And I saw some of your videos and I totally loved it. I mean, how did you get into this career? Or how did dating coaching start for you?
So for me, I was really shy when I was younger. I went out and I approached a lot. I honestly, I was so desperate for girls to like me and for me to be able to find somebody that would love me that I was willing to go to any length for it to happen. And so it came down to where I heard that if you go out and approach girls, that over a period of time, you'd actually get better with talking to them. And eventually you can even get them into you and make them start liking you. So I kept pushing it. And eventually I figured out that the people I said that were right. So I just leaned on it until eventually it just caved and I got better at it.
Yeah, for sure. And how old were you when you started coming out of your shell?
I heard about the whole dating community for men when I was 18, but I didn't start into it until I was 19. I was hitting up malls. I was going out talking to girls at like coffee shops and whatnot. I was just, running around everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, take me back to those age, and I assume it must have been so awkward and really terrifying for you to just suddenly start talking to all these girls or just coming out of your comfort shell. Like, was that initial moment like?
Well, when I was younger, I was really depressed. So it was kind of like, so if I ever look back on the memories, there was like almost like a dark cloud over them. It just felt like a constant, like pain in the back of my head. And it was really bad. It was mainly because I just had such low self-esteem. So in retrospect, I figured out that I didn't have a sense of self. And so there's two ways that a brain will usually go whenever you don't have a sense of self. And it was because of like some stuff that happened with my parents, but it's not important. Either one, you go into codependency, or two, you become a narcissist. And I became a codependent. And I eventually actually did switch back to being a narcissist. But yeah, I just felt like a worm. I felt disgusting. I didn't think I was worthy of love or friendship. And because I felt so strongly about it, it ended up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. I didn't have friends. I never had a girlfriend. I had one kiss once, and then I freaked that girl out so bad that, she never talked to me again. So I just started trying to figure things out, and I was so desperate. I really didn't think that I could get better with girls. I thought that there would be 0% chance of it happening, but I was just so desperate. I was willing to grab any line that was thrown to me. I didn't have a choice of being picky with my ideologies. So these guys said that they can make me attractive. Cool. I'll start working with them. And it ended up being right.
These are guys in that male dating community.
Exactly. Coaching. Yeah. The first guy I actually found was actually a con artist. I found out later, but then I started running into companies such as RSD, who I ended up working with. I heard of Simple Pickup, who also I started working with. And I just kept diving deeper and deeper into it. And eventually came down to where I was just so obsessed with getting good at this and getting better with girls that everywhere I went, I'd end up. So I had a huge ego at the time about being the best at this. So anytime I'd move to a new area, I would go and find the local group. And if I found a guy who's better than me, I would just go out more than him and study harder until I was better than him. And I just kept doing
Interesting.
it. Uh-huh.
So you kind of mentioned something, just kind of this competitive mindset of always wanting to be the best. And I was wondering, what's the right approach people should have when it comes to dating? Do you think that you should be competitive? Like, is dating competitive, or Should
Um,
people hop right into or subtly ease into things?
well, this is what I always tell people. The way that I did it was actually really stupid. You shouldn't come at the seduction community the way I did. I was coming from such a hurt place that for me, where I was at, being competitive was way different. Because so when you're going through the levels of your own self self confidence and building that inside of you and building that inner confidence, what happens is you go through layers. And the layers that I had to go through was so I was so apathetic at first. I was on the verge of just giving up on life. And
Mm.
then I went into more blaming it on other people, blaming it on girls. Then when I was over the blaming girls, then I started to move into more anger, which anger was me being competitive. So it's just one of the layers you have to get to keep evolving and getting to a higher place. So there's look up high vibrations self development. It'll pop up. There's usually like a pyramid on this that shows how people grow and evolve in every area of their life. And for me, at the place I was at, anger was motivating me. Like I was just pissed, and so I that's how I just pushed myself forward. Like
Yeah, and
I'll put it.
how long is this time period of you just really figure things out for yourself?
Oh yeah, it took me shoot like 5 years, and even now I still find myself reaching new plateaus that didn't know was possible. Um, there always seems to be another level in this shit, and I'll say this: if I had done this correctly and I practiced right, which is you get a coach, you use field reports like you should, you love the process instead of fighting it every step of the way, and you just give into it and practice self-love that you don't I was always worrying that I'd never get good at this, and that actually slowed me down too, because the depression that came from that and not assuming actually fucked me up and slowed me down. Whereas if I'd just been really positive and upbeat and been nice to myself and been my own best friend, I actually would have gotten good really fast. It probably would have taken me 2 years where it took me 5.
Yeah, for sure. It's just that self doubt that's really bringing you down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I I would I don't know. I have some infield from RSD that was pretty impressive back in the day. And that was about 3 years into it, like 4 years, but I still was, it was so getting that in that kind of a headspace was kind of back and forth and wasn't always guaranteed. So yeah,
Mm.
it's more consistent now.
So what's the work that you do? What is that? What does a dating coach exactly do?
Uh, I'm constantly reading up on psychology books. I'm studying. I go out every day. I go out. So consistency in this is most important above all else. So I go out and I approach once a day. And then on the weekends, I go and game for about 8 to 10 hours. Uh, it keeps me really, is I'm gaming so much by this point, my knees keep giving out on me. So I have to stretch in the morning. But basically I want to be the most charismatic, MF there ever was.
What exactly is gaming? Is that like actual like video games, or is this like going out and like
Okay. Yeah. To explain this,
yeah.
to explain this to the audience, game is essentially like the idea that you go out and you talk to girls and you become more charismatic, you become cooler. It's so in the same way that you go and meditate and you become more solid, the same way that that's a keystone habit, going out and practicing being charismatic to women is also a keystone
Mm.
habit. So if I go out every day, I get better and become more charismatic. So
Yeah.
I never run out of things to say. I'm always a little more, I'm usually the most charismatic person in a room anywhere I go. And that's because I go out and practice all the time. I practice my social skills, my charisma.
Yeah. Right on.
Mhm.
So what's a common thing that guys do that make themselves less attractive to other people?
Well, here's the big one that I've been focusing on a lot with my clients. It's the fact that you approach a girl and you you need her. It's not that, so this is what a lot of guys don't get. When you talk to a girl, the big thing is that she because we're very visual creatures, we assume girls are also visual creatures, but that's not the case. What's happening is that girls are just as much emotional as they are physical. I'd actually argue that they're more emotional than they are physical, which a lot of guys argue the point with me. But I'm so into the camp that looks are not that big a deal that a lot of people disagree, and I get it. You guys don't know me from the next bum in the streets, but I've been doing this for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've just seen it time and time again where if you're just a certain type of dude, it doesn't matter. So essentially when you approach a girl, she might even like think you're attractive at first, or that she might superimpose a certain personality over you. And when you approach her from a place that I already like you because you're attractive, the girls don't think like this. Girls are like, now I want to see who you are. I want to see if you're a person of status. They're not going to still like want to date you or fuck you because you're attractive. They care a lot about who you are, which is why you go to a bar. It's not usual you walk into a bar and the girl's like, hey, you want to go just go fuck? Like the girls, sorry for cussing by the way, but it's usual that the girl's gonna want to see who you are as a person. That's common. It's not a masculine thing to do though, because we need sex and girls are more into the emotional connection. They want to know who you are and that you can grow into that personality. So when you approach a girl, the idea is that you want to come from that frame. You approach a girl because she's attractive is not the end all be all. You care about who she is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this thing that you posted earlier today, is that narcissism is at the center of addiction.
Mm-hmm.
What's that about?
So, like I said, I study up on a lot of psychology.
Yeah.
And it goes like this. So both narcissists and codependents come from the same place. They are people that lack an identity or a substance. So what happens is there's some kind of break in childhood where they get some kind of trauma that makes them lose sense of self. So when you lose sense of self, now you need something to feed you. You need the outside world to feed you who you are. And so you need attention. You need people to tell you that you're awesome. You need people to tell you that you're good at something. You need people to tell you that you're perfect. Because without that, in a vacuum, you would just become worthless. So you
need things to go well for you.
Yeah.
Or for narcissists, that is. Yeah.
Exactly. So what you do is you force the world around you to shape and mold to fit you. So a narcissist, what he'll do is he'll bend and break people to force them into a frame where they're constantly giving him validation, which is, not possible. So these people oftentimes are very, they're
short-tempered.
Short-tempered, yeah. They're short-tempered. Their emotions fluctuate a lot. They are more. Their confidence is volatile. And if you take it away, a lot of times the narcissist will do anything to get it back. So if you're talking to a girl, and let's say that she's a narcissist, and let's say that you reject her in a harsh way that hurts her feelings. If she's like a theatrical narcissist, she'll go to her friends and maybe say that you raped her so that she can get her confidence back. And now, some guy goes behind bars because of this. It's like the narcissists are not looking at you as a person. They're looking at you as an object to feed their personality, to feed their confidence, because they're in such a level of lack that it's a vacuum, and they don't have any stilts. They need people to hold them up, as opposed to having internal locus of control. It's the same thing with codependents. Codependents, what they do differently is that they become introverted, and they will instead they start creating their own character in their head without people's help, and then they either become like a hero, like they're like the total badass, and then it still comes from the same narcissistic place, or they're a worm because they have no self-identity and in a vacuum, and now they're in a vacuum. So then they're like, I'm a worm. And what ends up happening is oftentimes narcissists draw codependence because a codependent is willing to keep feeding the narcissist the idea that they're perfect.
Yeah.
And then, vice versa. So they draw each other to each other.
So then kind of going back to that narcissist thing and the false accusations about whatever it may be, how can people protect themselves, or is there a certain person that they should kind of gravitate towards and just avoid narcissists, or what's the approach?
Yeah, narcissists often, so a theatrical narcissist will start off telling you about how they're the victim. So anybody that plays the victim card, they are probably narcissists. I'll give it like a 3 and 4 chance that a person that starts off with a victim mentality is a narcissist, is a theatrical narcissist. So these people, you don't know how far gone they are necessarily. So if somebody is like this, where they start trying to play the victim role first thing, that person is a narcissist, but you have to be very careful with them. Be nice to them, but don't keep them in your life, because the longer they're in your life, the more likely they are to fuck shit up. Like they're not gonna make it necessarily. They're not gonna do things for you. They're gonna do things for them. It's almost coming from a sociopathic place, not 100%, but it's just
sure.
Yeah,
they have those traits where they're just so self-absorbed. Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. If you were to take a person and drown them, I always use this metaphor. if you were to drown them, what would that person not do to get out of you drowning them? If they had a gun, they'd shoot you. So these people are legitimately drowning, and they're in this quiet world where they can't explain this because they don't have the interpersonal intelligence to understand what's going on. And they assume everybody else is thinking like them. They assume everybody else is coming from the same place. Stalin from the Soviet Union, he was actually a heavy narcissist. He would assume everybody's trying to plot against him. He ended up killing all of his best friends for this reason. It's a fucked up place to be.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me, Den. Is there any last minute thoughts you want to say, or the things you want to shout out, the things you want to plug?
Yeah, for sure. Well, if anybody wants to follow me, you can follow me at denton.fisher on Instagram, or you can check out my TikTok, King Mentality, or my YouTube channels, King Mentality or Charisma King with a K. So it's Karisma King. And you can find me at any of those.
Yeah. And of course, I've checked out those all, and it's more of just really what you said you are doing, dating coaching and self-help.
Oh yeah, I take this pretty seriously.
All right, well, thank you so much for chatting with me, Denton, and I will keep you updated.
Hey, sounds good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. All right, I'll see you later. Special thanks to Luke Rembo and Matthew May for the tracks I use on today's episode. If you want to hear more about these artists, you could search them on YouTube Library. And of course, thank you to the lovely guests, Skylar, Morgan, and Denton. And I cannot stress this enough. Please check these people out. They are amazing. Spread positivity to them. Spread love. Just show interest. They're amazing people. Of course, if you're interested in being in the podcast, reach out to me. You can find me on Instagram at _Spence_R_. If you want to see more Milky Ardor sorts, search up Milky Ardor. Pretty self-explanatory. My DMs are always open. So please do find me on Instagram and send me a positive note or DM me for an interview, because I always love that shit. It really motivates me, and the people that message me saying like, hey, good job on the podcast, it really brightens my day. So if you can spread more love to me, and I'm kind of like boasting, I'm really trying to expand my ego, but yeah. Anyways, that was episode 8 of Milky Ardor. Thank you for staying in tune. Thank you for... Jesus, I cannot speak. As I have mentioned, it is very early in the morning. It's currently 5:03 a.m. of the day of posting. So, I really should get to sleep. I really should get going to sleep. My point being is, I will see you later. Bye.